In our first 24 hours, we ate beignets at the famous Cafe du Monde, explored the colorful French Quarter, strolled through the city park, and enjoyed some amazing local music. On our second day in New Orleans, we got an amazing private tour of New Orleans' famous Cemetery No. 1, wandered through the Garden District, and ate really great pizza. Who'd have guessed? Join us on our day 2 as we explore the rest of New Orleans.
So today we're going to be exploring 2 more cemeteries. If you didn't see our last video, I'll put a link up here and down in the description. It's day 1 of our tour of New Orleans, and we had a chance to go to cemetery number 3 yesterday. So now we're at cemetery number 2. It is distinctly, I think, different to cemetery number 3. This cemetery feels like it's maybe been a little less loved. These might be a little bit older crypts and maybe just haven't been maintained as much. Maybe the families aren't in the area any longer. So it's definitely a pretty big contrast to the 2. We're really interested in seeing cemetery number 1. It's like the most famous cemetery in New Orleans. And you might be thinking it's a little bit weird that we're doing like tours of cemeteries, but it's a huge part of the history of New Orleans, and it's something that's really unique to this place. So if you're here, it's definitely worth coming and checking it out. So let's have a look around and see what we see. So we're headed now over to the first cemetery, cemetery number 1, and this is New Orleans' most famous cemetery, and you actually cannot go into the cemetery without paying for the tour guide. So we've gone ahead and done that. We've booked in on a group tour. I'm gonna head in over and check it out. This is really interesting because it's the oldest cemetery in New Orleans, and there's some very famous New Orleanians, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Who are buried here. So we're really excited to go and check this out, and we'll let you know how it is as we go. Well, we just finished up the cemetery tour, and it was really interesting. You're not allowed to film in there, and you can thank some very well-known celebrities from many years ago of why you can't do that. I will let you Google that and find out why. But we had an incredible tour guide. She was really knowledgeable, and we were actually the only ones on the tour, so that was really nice. We saw some really big tours in there, and that was not look very enjoyable.
And it was the tour by Steven guide, so we'll link that below if you want to definitely check that out.
Yeah, I would recommend that. They maintain a smaller group. Even if we hadn't been just us, they would not let that be these 30, 40 people groups, which some of the other ones do. That's a lot. It's really hard to ask questions and get some information, so definitely would recommend that.
And she did say if you do want to take the tour, go early in the morning or late in the day. It's the fewest amount of people and your best shot of seeing everything you need to see.
Yeah, so 9 a.m. she said it's great, and like the 3 or 3:30, and we were on the 3, so we definitely recommend that. That was fantastic. So I'll throw some pictures. I hopefully put some pictures already in for you just to see. It was really interesting. She had a lot of great facts and information for us, and we just learned a lot about the history of New Orleans, and just it was really great. So we've now come to probably one of the most famous areas of New Orleans, which is the Garden District. And what makes this area so well known are the mansions, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a lot of, like Val mentioned, a lot of historic area. Benjamin Button was filmed here. John Goodman has a house, Sandra Bullock, as well as like Mark Twain actually used to spend some time here. We're going to check out one of the places where he used to frequent. So.
Yeah, so we're going to have a wander around, look at these beautiful old mansions, and after that, we're going to get some really great pizza. So we're a really great afternoon. Yeah, so let's go have a walk around. Many modes of transportation that you can take across New Orleans, but probably the most historic and interesting one are the streetcars. They are being used by everyday people commuting around the city, of course plenty of tourists, and if you really want to get a beautiful spot to take the streetcar, come down to the Garden District and hop on it there. So since we've already done our little mansion walking tour of the Garden District and we're down here, we're gonna hop on and check out the old historic streetcars. Let's go. Up an appetite after walking all over the place, and so we came to Pizza Delicious, and I made the mistake of letting Josh go up and order pizza by himself, and I thought he was ordering us each a slice, which were giant on their own, and instead he ordered enough food for 6 people, so I think we're going to be eating pizza for a while. This place has a vegan option, and they actually offer Daya vegan cheese, which is great. We're going to have a little bit of cauliflower, and I think it has like peppers and onions and mushrooms on it. So let's dive into some of this pizza, and yeah, enjoy. It's really good, it's really crunchy. Not a trip to New Orleans without a crazy spin down Bourbon Street, whether it's day or night. Well, I can't believe that our time in New Orleans is up. 2 days was definitely not long enough to do this city justice, so we will most definitely be back at some point next year. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe because we have an incredible agenda for 2020 of destinations we'll be visiting. I think it's something like 100 and something places, so definitely hit the subscribe. And I think now we're just going to eat another round of Cafe du Monde beignets and get some sleep because we have a really long drive tomorrow before we hit sunny Florida. So we'll check you in the next video, and thanks for coming along. Bye.
Bye.